I call the March 26, 2026 Academics Board Committee Academic Committee to order.
Thank you. All right, and if you could also approve the agenda, that would be great.
And I move to approve the agenda for the March 26, 2026 Academics Committee meeting.
Love it. Thank you. Ms. Porter, do you second that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and if we could also have an approval of the minutes.
Okay, and I also, it's okay, approve the committee minutes from the February 26, 2026 meeting, Academics Committee meeting.
Good. And Ms. Porter, do you second that?
I second.
Sounds good. Okay. So with that, we're going to start with our district accomplishments. And for this particular committee meeting, I wanted you guys to have the opportunity to hear from student services. There's a lot to celebrate in student services these days. And so I have our executive director over student services, Matt Sherman, with us. And Matt's going to share some of the celebrations from student services. Matt, okay, good.
Sure am. As soon as I can hit send, I apologize. I thought I was going to be presented, but I would like to share with you. We got a lot going on, and I'll read it off for you. First off, we celebrated Betsy Salcedo yesterday. She's a school nurse at Westwood High School. She was named the Richland 2 Nurse of the Year last year, and that qualifies her to go before the South Carolina School Nurse Association to be considered for this year. And so she was named yesterday as the South Carolina Nurse of the Year. This is the second year in a row Richland 2 has represented the state organization with the Nurse of the Year. Also next up, Chase Thomas, senior at Blythewood High School. She was named the Richland County Female Basketball Player of the Year, second year in a row. So amazing things happening for that young lady. And I've got a list of coaches real quick I want to share with you. Coach Miranda Proctor at Northeast was named to the class tomorrow's 25 coaching fellowship, and that's a big deal in the state of South Carolina. It's like the who's who. And not only her, but also Coach Aaron Lucas from Ridgeview High School, and also Chris Cochran from Spring Valley. So in the who's who, the top 25 in the state, we currently have 3 representing Richland 2, so that's huge. Next up, Coach Joshua Staley, Ridgeview basketball. Of course, we all know he just celebrated his 3rd win in a row, but also he's recognized by his counterparts in Region 5A as the Coach of the Year, Region 5A. Dr. Garrett Knight, our athletic director of Westwood High School, is named the 2026 South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association Athletic Director of the Year. So that's a huge accomplishment for him and Richland too. Continuing, Coach Trent Robinson, also Westwood High School, took his team to the state championship the first time in history. And so he was recognized by the Athletic Association as the Coach of the Year. And to round it off, 2 more. Coach Katie Litton at Blythewood High School swim coach, recognized as the 5A Swim Coach of the Year. And finally, Coach Alicia Hawkins, recognized as the 25-26 Cross Country Region Coach of the Year. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is, y'all, we're halfway through the athletic schedule. And I don't know who all attended the Realtors Breakfast a week ago, but I had a big emphasis on athletics because it's that time that, we're really looking at, are we the best choice for families? And I hope they do see that. And I know what experiences y'all had in high school, but we all needed something to get us up out of the bed, get us energized, and get us to school to learn. And that may have been athletics, it may have been performing arts, could have been RTC, but I'm big on all co-curricular and extracurricular opportunity. And while I really want to highlight a lot of these coaches, you heard these accomplishments to include our school nurse. They're recognized by associations in the state. And so we really emphasize get involved, let your voice be heard, let Richland 2 be represented. And I'm super proud of how many coaches, how many social workers, how many nurses, they really go above and beyond to be a part of their state agency or association and national. And I must remind all of us, these are things they're taking on themselves. We don't have a budget for that. We're not able to. So they're paying out of their pocket to be a member, to be active. And many of them have taken on leadership roles as far as being an officer. So I just want you to know we're being well represented throughout the state and nationally. A lot of accomplishments. And I look forward at the end of this year coming back to you and saying, here's a much longer list of all the things we've done. So thank you for letting me share some of the student services with you today.
That's All right, that sounds great. So Matt, I think that was really, I mean, I think it's amazing what's happening in the district. And like you, I know that the success of our athletic programs, all of the wraparound services that we provide are just really key to making Richland 2 a successful place for our students and to make us the place where students should go to school and so that we are parents' first choice. So, Ms. Porter, Ms. Williams, do you have any wonderings or thoughts from Mr. Sherman? From Mr. Sherman?
Not really, but just like you said, what resonated with me, Mr. Sherman, was the fact that, even though we're here for academics, there's something that gets a child to get up, or even our employees to get up every morning to say, I'm here and I show up. And so their rewards, I mean, their efforts are paying off. Not that you always have to get recognition for what you're doing because you love what you do. However, it is now, what not the icing on the cake for them to get recognized for the hard work that they're putting in, day out, and changing the lives of our students.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
Well said.
and Mr. Davis is in the waiting room, he said.
Yes, he's standing at the door. He said, "Can you let him in?"
We need to do that real quick.
And I just want to say congratulations on all of the accolades. I've been following on social media, and of course, I'm a basketball fan, so I'm always in there. And so to hear that all of our sports, that there's others happening where we're first in the state and being named coaches and players of the year, it's great to hear. So I think one of the news or reporters had mentioned that we are the what was it, the capital, that there was a lot of talent in Columbia, or that Richland too was producing some of the top talent in the state, and I echo those sentiments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is huge, y'all, for drawing in families, keeping families here, and just something else to celebrate. So thank you.
That's
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And I think we offer the kind of wraparound services with family intervention and our social workers and our nurses and all of the folks that are psychologists, all of our folks that are counselors, all the folks that really support kids being successful, like making sure that those needs are met and they're ready to learn when they come here. I just think it makes all the difference. And I feel really honored to be able to integrate student services into the work of academics, because it clearly does integrate very, very well. If you talk to Tamika Nicholson at Westwood, they are actually basing kind of their academic push on the wins in athletics and really tying what it means to be a great coach to what it means to be a great teacher in the classroom. And so it really plays into everything that we're doing.
Yeah, did you see those the average GPA of those teams? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these students are not only excelling on in their sport, they're excelling in the classroom, and they go hand in hand. When our kids are happy and thriving, it will transfer over into their academics. So
I think so too. So Matt, I was going to ask you, just because we want to make sure we keep all the other board members informed as well. Do you mind taking your list and adding the one that you put in chat, and just maybe like a one sentence or two sentences with each one? And let's use a short form and do a board brief, and we'll put it in for next week. And that way all the board members can see it. And I know you guys will encourage our board members to, look and see and like all the great things that are happening. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move to the next item, and that is our follow-up on the February committee action items from the minutes. And I'm just going to give kind of a quick update, and I have a couple of questions for our chairs. So with our policy work, I've included policies to be discussed in our committee agenda, and I'm just lining them up under our discussion items. And I am continuing to work on that, sort of policy audit for all of the I policies, because we actually are not just I. Like we have a good number of discipline and athletics and a variety of others. So it's not just the I section that applies to academics, but I'm working with Marsha Lynn to make sure that we do a good coordination, because I know she is also doing that. And she also leads, Dr. Franklin also leads when we have the model board policies that come from the South Carolina School Board Association. She
Right.
leads that work and really works individually with a lot of folks in academics for the ones that are relevant to us. So I'm a coordinator with her, and my goal is for the next meeting, our next committee meeting, that that we can have a discussion about how this committee can support that policy work and how we can go about it so it all meshes together really, really well.
Yes.
So I'll bring that next time.
Okay.
Okay. And so,
And
yes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Morris. And then maybe also probably trying to look at, and I don't know which side we would look at this, but looking at our virtual school and how it relates to maybe students who might have discipline issues or areas that we look at that policy in virtual. Because
So
right
I'm
now
not-
our virtual is only
Mhm.
offered to like a magnet almost virtual.
Mhm.
So kind of looking at that, just having us have some discussion around it in the future.
So I will say that Dr. Scott, after our meeting on Tuesday evening, she did ask me and Mr. Sherman to have a discussion about middle school students who are having discipline issues and how virtual might be an option for them at the Alternative Pathways, a committee meeting that is happening next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
So
personally
that
would like to, I personally would like for that work to be done in that committee. Because
Okay.
it is connected with discipline. And
Mhm.
we have a slew of.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, just because it crosses over to
Mhm.
academics, so that's the only reason why.
Yeah, friends, it's all gonna
We
touch
cover everything,
academics.
right?
That's all I'm saying, which is a
Yeah.
great thing. So, but that said, we want to make sure that, just the conversation on Tuesday night was great because it really shows that our committees are very active, and, you should ask anything. Like, we should ask anything and bring it up here. And then on my end, it is partially my job to coordinate some of those conversations wherever they need to be. And sometimes, even if it may not, entirely be within academics, I can help facilitate some of that happening on the district side. I mean, I'm a senior leader for a reason, and we have a very tight connection across all of our senior leaders and the departments. So we can make sure that it all happens. So the next thing that I have on my list, I need a little feedback on this, is with the program evaluation. So we have the AVID program evaluation has come back from our external evaluator. It looks really good, and I'm gonna take a chance to look at that myself, and then we're going to probably publish it through this committee before it goes to the full board, if that works. Do you think that works, Ms. Williams, Ms. Porter?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll bring it to
Yes.
this committee first, and then we'll probably put it in the board brief for everyone to see, because I know Ms. Washington, really all the board members are highly interested in that. And we still have the college and career readiness program evaluation coming. And remember the point of these program evaluations is to look at return on investment. How do we make sure that we have strong return on investment? Where are the areas that we can improve? And it also provides our district staff who are in charge of those programs with good data and information moving forward for program improvement. So we did have about a little bit under $20,000 left in that non-recurring money to do a third program evaluation. And I had talked with you all about using that to look at academics department staffing, but we needed to make the changes very quickly this year. And I think I can do that elsewhere with some other collaborators and with the academic leadership team kind of moving forward. So my wondering is, I've had some conversations with Dr. Sean Suber. One of our most significant programs in the district is really MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of support program that we have. And I think that it would probably be most advantageous in terms of moving our programs forward and assessing return on investment if we use that last bit for a program evaluation of MTSS. What do you all think about that?
Wholeheartedly agree,
Okay,
because that will be the foundation for some of the work that we get done.
yeah, I think so too. Ms. Porter, are you okay with that as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then the academics dashboard is my third item. I'm really probably going to end up revisiting these like most of our meetings anyway, no matter what it says in the minutes. But the academic department, it was really helpful to have the conversation with you all about the levels of data and the strands of data that we're looking at. We would really like to have to map out all of those and probably and get to a point where we have something electronic and rough to try by the end of this semester. And so my hope is that we'll be able to start a good map for that for us to take a look at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then I'm always going to keep you apprised of academics information that really kind of has sort of almost been our academic dashboard thus far, and when we report metrics to the board. And so you guys notice, I know, at our March 10th presentation through the superintendent's report that we were able to report on some of our formative data that's so critical to our instructional plan as of right now. And I think that we also are probably going to be adding a board brief as soon as we can related to that to keep the whole board involved.
Question.
Yes.
So in the same vein, I was communicating with a few other colleagues, and there was an interest in, I know you might think, oh my gosh, one more, but in making sure that we consider our magnet programs in the accountability piece. So
in the dashboard. Yeah, we've talked about that on this side already.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be our intent. That's one of our largest programs. So we
Right.
have to.
I think they were that wanted to ensure that we had something that was monitoring like the status of the magnet, and even that we're touching base on the certifications, and as a whole, some of our school magnets there, as we have more teachers coming in and more students coming in, making sure that they're being trained on that model of the magnet, because sometimes they're whole school, and so people make transfers and they have the same PD that we have as the whole district, but perhaps they need training specific to that magnet and that magnet's purpose.
So is your question, so, certainly we have each individual magnet program has a certification. They have to maintain that. Are you talking about individual teacher certifications?
I think the concern that was expressed to me had something to do with that, making sure that those at those magnets were consistent with the magnet's purpose, so that there's training going on with the leads, and that they're not. I'm struggling communicating it because it was a long conversation, but I think it had something to do with just making sure that all those who are transferring in and out of different magnet programs, that they have the support that they need to and the background that they need to still be somewhat, I guess, certified, or I don't know.
So something around teacher training, probably.
Yeah, something about teacher training.
Okay.
In regards to that magnet and the magnet's purpose.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Ms. Porter, is it like so that you can keep the integrity of the program still?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking you said. So like if it's an inquiry school, then they're still having training around that as teachers come in and out the program, or the Zubot program, any of those things, so that it's specific to that school and those teachers that come in. Because usually what happens, as we know, is that they have a school-wide training 1 year, and then 2 years later you get a new teacher, but that is not done for that teacher. It's more so I'll tell you what it's about, and then they didn't get a thorough understanding of everything and what to do.
Yeah, I
Right.
think too, like, I'm wondering if the certifications that our magnet programs earn as part of earning that certification, they probably have to give evidence around continuous teacher training and support. But I can't guarantee that right now. That's just a guess. And so, but I think certainly building something in around just making sure that our teachers are trained. We'll figure it out. I mean, there are various metrics that we could try for that.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move to the last one, and the follow-up from the South Carolina School Board Association Conference. We were going to talk about this. I went ahead and put it on the agenda just because I knew we wanted to talk about it. It was, it was really great to be there with you all. Of course, Matt was there as well. And, we were looking at a variety of things. Of course, Kim Hutcherson was with us. And so we went to sessions fairly well related to our areas. One of the ones that I really picked up on was, well, it was interesting in a couple of ways. Like, I went to some district academic sort of transformation meetings, and a lot of the school districts that present at that particular conference also present at the SCASA meetings that I attend for instructional leaders. And so it was good to kind of see them again. We are engaging in looking at the Pickens County G2Y program that they're starting out there, which gets kids involved in CTE, starting really in the elementary grades. So Dr. Davis and Ms. Kane are actually going to go and meet with some of the developers of that program in Pickens, just to see what we could steal, basically from Pickens County, what would really work in Richland too, to continue to improve our programs. That was kind of a big one. I know Kim went to a really good one around hearing officers and hearing officer decisions. Was there anything that particularly struck you, or you, Miss Williams and Miss Porter?
For me was sitting in the Orangeburg County one,
Mm-hmm.
and they talked a lot about their CTE programs and their partnerships with the businesses. And they also started within the, well, it's not as early as elementary, but they started as early as middle school. That was something that I thought that we could look into in that process as well.
Okay.
Because they were saying that they start there, especially when it comes to like the tracks their students are on,
Mm-hmm.
getting them ready like 5th grade and starting them in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So that because high school is too late.
Mm-hmm.
And they emphasized how they started so early so that their kids could be what do you call it? They'll graduate with associates, and they'll graduate with their regular high school diploma, but they start the process pretty much 5th grade and above.
Okay. I'll take a look at that one, and we'll see. I think, of course, we do actually have an early college that does start at the middle school level. We have one. We are currently looking to see if there are other options for the district, but we'll look at Orangeburg and take a look and see.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, it's actually every school that's involved in instead of just like the college, the early college piece. So, but I might be wrong, but I believe it's every school.
Part of it. Okay. So I'll take a look at that. And anything that really struck you, Ms. Porter?
Not that I want to mention here, but I want to add to what you've shared. I think a lot of that will come from our work with that, the work that we're doing with our counselors. And I think that's essential. Before we can go there, we need to first ensure that the communication of what we have to offer is strong, and it's also accessible to all parents. I think there's a lot of work to be done there, and I know we're in the middle of it.
Okay.
So that's where I would rather us focus for our younger students so we can get on the right track with taking the right courses for students. And I do think it will flow naturally into that and help us. And then
I
the
agree.
Kate conversation, I had a lot of conversation with the board member at Pickens, Carla Kelly, about that. And so I'm actually interested in visiting. I've been invited to visit once before. Just curious to know when you all will go.
Yeah. Do you want to go with our team?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
And I'd like
So,
to work with her.
so Dr. Davis is on the line, and so is Ms. Kane. And so I'm sure you guys are, listening and making note that
And I,
Ms. Porter would like to go with you.
and I would join too if my schedule allows.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And I think it's too. I mean, it is, we have a lot happening. And so, yes, we want to definitely think moving forward and what it can be. But you're right too. Like, there's a lot that we are solidifying even now. And even today's discussion is really going to be a part of that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move on to our next item, which is policy IKC, and we're discussing. We're not. I have to run it through the policy committee to get it on the agenda, but so policy IKC class rankings. So this is not a major change. It's just a clarification added to the policy to make sure that when a parent or community member reads the policy, that it is clear. And so what I did was, as I promised, I just added a line in there that all members of the senior class must be included in the senior class ranking, including those who are approved to complete courses virtually and transfer students. So parents know that everybody gets included in that group.
Yep,
Yeah.
loved it.
Matt,
Perfect.
as a previous high school principal in the district, do you like that line? Does that work for you? For IKC? Yeah. Yeah. And so this will, I mean, at least just clarifies. It doesn't change the basic policy. It just clarifies. So if you all are good with the language, Ms. Porter and Ms. Williams, I'll send this one on.
I'm in agreement.
Okay, sounds good. The next one is an administrative rule, and I know that the board doesn't necessarily have to vote on these, but we just want to make sure, we utilize you all and keep folks aware. So there's an administrative rule, JLCDR, which is about assisting students with medications. And there's really the change here is mostly to clarify some of the medications that kids are needing to utilize these days. And so you can really see changes to really over-the-counter medications and what's allowable. And this is something that the Student Services Division has been working on. So it's just really a small modification with around over-the-counter medications. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
I've actually reviewed all of these and I don't have any questions. I have to duck out for a minute. Something came up.
Okay.
And so I will hopefully pop back in before you are done, but just want to let you know I have reviewed all of these and saw that,
Okay.
and I'm good with all of them.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So then we'll quickly go to policy IJL, which is a change based on Dr. Davis and Mr. Newton kind of ran this one. And this is a change to our library media center materials selection and adoption policy. And it reflects the newest South Carolina School Board Association model policy that came out with changes. And Dr. Davis and Mr. Newton actually took it to our media center specialist and really gave the opportunity for all of our media specialists to give input in the process. And so you'll see here, there's just some clarification. They took off for example, the prepared selection aids because they've changed over time and some things like that. And there's actually an additional very detailed administrative rule around this particular policy. So, Ms. Williams, are there any questions that you have about these two?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right. So with that, we're getting to the big presentation, which is, I think it's really important. I thought the policy discussion around IKF was is a first step to where we really want to get with really career readiness in the district. And so we had already agreed several months ago that the point of this conversation would be college ready and career ready metrics, the profile of our 0 to 1.99 GPA student, the proposal to dissolve career prep. So it's been on the docket for quite a while, and then to look at the South Carolina employability credential, which we really want to improve student numbers when it comes to that. So the team has actually been working on a plan, an initiative, a strategic initiative called Graduate Ready, and it's led by Dr. Davis. But like the part of the task force has really been Jennifer Kane, Jennifer Coleman, Shaquina McLaughlin, and really all of our academic department leaders are in the know about some of the things that we're doing. But we wanted to take the opportunity to share that because it speaks to all four of the items that we know that you wanted to have some information about during this. So with that, what I'll do is I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Davis, but I'm going to see if I can share it. Ms. Washington, can I have sharing access?
Sure, let me see if I can get this picture for you.
Okay, so let's see, here we go. Let's see if this works. Okay, so still having trouble.
Yeah, my system has been really crazy lately, so it's just circling.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time actually hearing you.
Yeah, I'm having difficulties with it, so I may not be able to. Yeah, it's stuck now, it's frozen.
Okay, so I'm not going to be able to share.
Yeah, I will. I don't think it's frozen now. I can't do anything.
Okay. All right, so then what we'll do is this. That's hard. All right, so what we'll do is that, so Dr. Davis, this is what I think we need to do. Ms. Williams and everybody, we have on the on item 6.1, there is a link to the draft. It is draft. We do not need to be publishing this draft, but not yet anyway. It's getting there. But on 6.1, you'll see kind of just the outline of the four topics that we're going to discuss today. And then in the second paragraph, you see academic department members will present highlights from the department's Graduate Ready initiative led by Dr. Davis. Please access the initiative draft here. So that's where you get it. And it looks like you gave me a thumbs up, right?
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. It has like about 4 pictures and then a lady
Yeah, it's
in
got
a,
4
yep,
pictures. Yep. And
I'm on it.
that's right. And then all four of those items will be talked about while we share parts of this document. And so, Dr. Davis, I'm going to turn it over to you. The table of contents, I did just kind of automate that today. But let's talk about page numbers so Ms. Williams can, and everybody who's on the line can kind of scroll through the document and take a look at it. But will you go ahead and start with an overview of Graduate Ready?
I will. Hey, good afternoon, Trustee Williams. How are you?
Good, good.
All right. So thank you for taking it. So I want to take the next 10 minutes to walk you through Graduate Ready and our district strategic initiative for graduation quality. And so it stemmed from Dr. Moore's Vision 2028, where she set 2 goals for our system. 90% graduation rate, and 90% of those students will graduate college and career ready. And so Graduate Ready is our strategic initiative to get us there. And so right now, our existing graduation rate is 86.6%, and our college and career readiness rate is 74.2%. Those numbers, they represent real students, and Graduate Ready is our plan to close those gaps. And so that's what we're trying to do. Very similar to some of the things, the initiatives that have been led across the state and nationally. And so what's college and career ready actually, what it actually means? And so a student is college and career ready when they leave Richland 2 with a diploma and at least one of the following 5 credentials. And so you probably heard us talk about across the state, if you will, CTE credentials, meaning completing a career pathway and technical pathway with an industry certification. That's one route. Work-based learning, a paid internship, either a youth apprenticeship or a documented work-based learning certificate. College credit, 6 or more college credits earned in high school through dual enrollment. So college credits could qualify. Military readiness, a qualifying ASVAB score, and they can do WIN, ready to work, with scoring a silver or higher, or a qualifying SAT and ACT benchmark. And those are all the methods and ways that we plan to accomplish this and what it actually means. And so I'll pause right there and just let it sit if you have any questions at that point.
So it's will you say that they're college ready or career ready, or you would say they're college and career if they just qualify for one of these areas?
Either college ready, career ready, or they can be both college and career ready. So it's a combination of any one of those. They can be college ready, they can either be career ready, or they can be college and career ready. They can be them all.
I think for the purpose of this strategic initiative, we are looking at a group of students, like, for example, those students who currently or like in the past might have gone into our career prep program or our transition program, and with a focus on career ready. So we're going to utilize that. But on this particular page, we want to make sure that you saw kind of both. And we are focusing on a group of students to make sure that, they are getting the South Carolina employability credential, or they're going through a pathway where they may not always get a diploma. We want them to get a diploma, but at the same time, like, they can still get one of these 4, or even one of these 4 career ready designations.
All right. Yeah. So from that stem, we divided this into 2 problems of practice. Trustee Williams, which will kind of support all the things that Ms. Morrison said. And so Graduate Ready is built around 2 specific problems that we wanted to address. Ordinarily, we're addressing all students, but paying laser-like attention to these students who fall within the range of 0 to 1.99 GPA. And that will include many of our students who are career prep ready as well. So problem 1, diploma quality. When our students leave our system, we don't only want them to just graduate, but we can graduate kids, but what do they leave our system with when they graduate? Are they ready for college? Are they ready for the workforce? All of those things. So the first is about students who are graduating. Right now, a student can complete 4 years of high school, earn all their passing grades, they can walk across the stage, leave without a single post-secondary credential because they met the requirements to graduate. And so trying to alleviate and close those gaps, not for all students, but paying specific attention to those students who fall within that GPA range. And so the diploma in this case certifies attendance that they met the requirements, but it does not specify preparation. And we want our kids to be prepared. That's what we mean by graduate ready, and what this program, how we came up with this initiative. Second problem of practice was readiness for all. And this second problem is about students who are not necessarily on track to graduate, those who we would ordinarily address through the career prep program. Most of the time, in many cases, these students will be deemed dropouts. And so roughly 1.3% of our population, or about 100 to 110 students every year, we're speaking above and beyond the ones that we have that's on the career prep track in Richland 2, don't finish school. So in Richland 2, all means all, and these students deserve to leave our system equipped with real skills and a recognized credential, even if the pathway looks different than the traditional diploma track. And so this is where career prep lives. So that was a question that came up at the board. And so I wanted to make that really clear. And so two sets of students, students on diploma track, and their primary gap is CC certification. But then those students who need an alternative pathway, which would be that 1.3% of the students, which would include the career prep students. And these students have severe career credit deficits, and sometimes they're absent a lot from the school, but they need real skills and a recognized pathway to be able to earn a livable wage when they graduate from high school. That's the population of kids that we're trying to really, really address.
And I will say that our SPED students do oftentimes live in this population as well. So we have career prep students right now who who have an IEP, and so they're pursuing something instead of the South Carolina employability credential. And so we want to make sure that all, like, if at all, like whenever possible, in this group of, let's just say, 110 kids who may not be seeking a diploma or are going to be leaving us without a diploma, we want to make sure that they have something that really means something. So one of those career ready indicators or credentials, or the South Carolina employability credential. So on page 5, you can see that under the problem practice number 2, we are really looking to increase the number of students who are career ready according to the South Carolina career ready indicators, as well as our South Carolina employability credential. Let's pause for a minute. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And so we will be calling it ready to work, or
We can't call it like it's, we got to be really careful about what we call
right.
it, because the state calls it this, and really for us, ready to work is going to, because for it to be, the state assumes that you have a diploma, and then you also have a career or a college readiness indicator. We're
Right.
going to
Okay.
use the career indicators to make sure that all of our kids are walking out with something that is useful to them. And so
Okay.
we can't call it like CCR, we can't call it always the same thing, but we are going to use their indicators for this. Right now, career prep requires 3 things for them to get basically a piece of paper from Richland too, not the state, that says, you've done the career prep program. They have to have they have to have working hours, they have to have passed the WIN assessment, and they have to have kind of a letter from their employer saying that they did well. That's easy. Like Jennifer Kane could speak better to that, but it sort of requires those. But those are not always state markers, and so we want to use the state indicators to define ready to work moving forward. And there'll be more
Okay.
options for them. They could
Right.
do the work-based learning, or they could do the WIN, or they could do dual credit, or they could do a variety of things to get where they want to get. It opens up that pathway for these students.
Right. I think while I agree with all of this and I like it, I think where the confusion could come in um would be when some of my colleagues might not see the exact term, but making sure that when we explain it, similar to like you just explained it to us, what is that it is broken down, saying that it will have these criterias just as the career prep completers had, and then they will be able to earn this certificate or whatever it would be, but placed back in on the school level and not necessarily from the district and them going to a place,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's always been kind of a school level program. So Jerome, this is what we have to think about, like when we do the board brief for our board members, because the second read's going to be at the next meeting, and so we want to make sure that folks are very informed as they move toward that. And so when we do our board brief for next week around this, just like Ms. Williams is saying, that we need to make sure that we're making that part of things clear. Does that make sense to you, sir?
It does. And so what I
Mhm.
wanted to iterate with that too. So Trustee Williams and Ms. Morrison, what this is based off of the program, the problem of practice will be considered because what students receive past historically was a certificate of attendance. That's what they received when they left the program. I want to be truly transparent. And
Right.
so with that being said, they would ordinarily probably receive the same thing, but with a tag to it that say readiness for all. And what that means is that's those kids who would be career prep, and they would receive they would either meet those requirements, either have a work-based learning credential, meet those hours for work, and making sure that they've taken the win those three credentialing things that Ms. Kane had put in place previously. But being really, really clear, because I want to be honest, is that this isn't a diploma because the state doesn't recognize it as a diploma. It's a
Correct.
certificate with these potential skills through our Readiness for All program that helps kids be able to earn a livable wage when they're in the workforce. I'll make that clear. Is that clear?
Yes, yes. I understand it, but I just want to make sure that it transfers to my colleagues understanding that we're not getting rid of something and not providing another opportunity for our students to be able to um, be successful in the same way,
Mhm.
but
I got-
we're not calling it the same thing, but it is very similar and actually a little more robust
Right.
in the process. In my opinion, I think it's a little more robust for them, and we can, quantify it pretty much in the process.
I
And we'll
agree.
get more students.
Correct. And to Jennifer, she's not saying to her point, one of the things she brought to my attention on the other day is that even if we go this route, we'll be able to, really look at that 1.3%, clearly analyzing that data and what of those additional students, who could we support as well? And they leave our system with something too, because regardless, they'll still be coded as dropouts, but we'll still be able to, they'll leave here with something. All right.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay.
And can you make that comparison that before these students were were coded as an attendance, and then they'll still be coded as attendance so that they'll know that technically they're still coded as the same thing. We're just offering more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that would give a little more clarity, because I don't know if it's known that they were still considered as, an attendance, that you met your 12 years. They just thought it was more of, some type of certificate. I'm not sure. I don't want to assume, but if you make that comparison, then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. And all right, so to address this, and I noticed we talked about, oh, Tasha was here before. I had to go to another meeting the last time we met, an academic meeting, and she talked about the work that we had done with the student placement guides, rising sixth graders and then the rising ninth graders, and how this aligns to that work, being very thoughtful about how we align the pieces. And so if you look at, we came up with 7 levers to begin to address this work. Because typically, to your point, where you said, and Ms. Kane and I have been talking about this, is that we need to really start getting kids prepared earlier. By the time a kid hits ninth grade, they need to have a plan when they walk in the door about what they want to do. And so she and I have talked about even extending IGP and Tasha, how we can be more robust in our IG process starting in 6th grade, which is what Orangeburg did. I was there, I know. And so, and we also did it in Dorchester too. So I know all about those earlier ILPs and things like that. And we've had conversations about it. And so really aligning that work for ninth grade. So if you notice in our placement guys, ninth grade math success is probably one of the gateways for kids graduating high school, as well as ninth grade English 1. How successful kids are in those courses are pretty intense. So looking at
Can I pause just to keep you on the same page with us, Ms. Williams? We are on page 11.
Mine doesn't have numbers, but if you give me a heading, I will be
I think they're
able
at the bottom. The
No,
bottom
it just
right.
says page break, looking for my iPad.
Really? Okay. All right. It's there's a section called the 6 levers, and that's what Dr. Davis is talking about.
Okay, we're good to go.
All right. And so if you remember, we talked about the previous meeting, we talked about those placement guides. Otasha presented that. And here's how we align in that, or we've begun to align that work. So ninth grade math success, graduation rate, which is one of the strongest indicators. And this is where a lot of ninth graders have the highest fares, really having a laser light focus to really ensure a strategic placement for kids who potentially could struggle. And so what we've done is really looked at the courses and what we can offer kids where every child in the ninth grade get on grade level access to on grade level work. But there are some students who need support as well, but providing that in-time support, maybe like the quarter before where we put a support class in place and give them an elective credit for it, and then they take the actual course to help them earn the Carnegie unit. And what that will do is alleviate some kids from going into this, into the ready for work. They'll be able to earn a diploma. Secondly, we did the same thing for English. So we did a pilot last year at Richland Northeast, as well as Westwood High School through a program called Read 180. And the results we got were pretty good. And so we're just interested. We're going to be looking to see how our kids did on the English 1 end of course exam, putting support first, and then tagging alongside the actual course where they receive both on grade level instruction and support to earn Carnegie units for that credit. So starting that work there, being specific and intentional about the placements for kids that are in that program. Thirdly, CTE completion pathways. Ms. Kane has taken a deeper look at that. The fourth one is work-based learning expansion. How do we look at that to help kids earn work-based learning credit certificates? Even the ones that are in the, she and I met with Mr. Wolf today about how we can actually help them earn, how we can offer more for those kids who are in the 0 to 1.99 range, youth apprenticeship pipelines, and dual enrollment expansion. And our seventh lever would be South Carolina employability credentials. So I'm going to ask my colleague, because this is her area of expertise, and I know a little bit about it to be dangerous, but she knows a whole lot about it. I do. And so Shaquina, come on.
I was waiting for you to go ahead and explain it. I was going to test you. No, so this next section talks about the South Carolina employability credential. And ultimately, this is a state recognized alternative pathway, which is different from what we previously had in policy. In policy, the district was able to give a certificate. But over in the last couple of years, the state now has a state recognized credential program. So that is what we have already adjusted to. It just needed to be updated in the policy. And ultimately, our employability credential is students have to get 360 work-based hours. They have to do 24 course credits. They have to complete a portfolio, and then they have to participate in required state assessments. And all of this is for the purpose, again, they don't get a diploma. This is an alternative pathway to that. But the focus is on developing those skills they need for successful employment and independent living. And so this is based off of students. This has to come from an IEP team. So IEP teams decide based on student need. These students participate in this program. So that's kind of the employability. Again, it's been since I think 2022 is when the state started to recognize this. We just needed to update our policy. We're already doing it. And our goal is to every year have more and more students who are able to participate and actually get this credential.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to say a policy thing real quick. So the interesting thing is that, you know, we needed to strike the language about the transition program from policy IKF. However, policy IKFC is already all about the South Carolina High School Employability Credential. Oh. So it's interesting. There was some overlap. I think it's okay to leave it in IKC with the employability credential, just that one little paragraph, and then maybe I can add a link to the next much more detailed policy. But you know, we just needed to move old language out, and so but that on the policy side, that's kind of how it's living right now.
All right.
Also, Ms. Williams, I want you to ask the question about voc rehab and what you shared with me after the board meeting. I think you added a question to our question tracker as well. Can you share that question here? Because I have a feeling that
Yes, because
you're
I
able to get
think the
your answer.
concern was from one of our colleagues was when we were striking it that it might also include voc rehab. I'm trying to talk and go back to my notes. It might also include voc rehab and like your project search.
So those are two separate. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, those are two separate things. So the employability credential is based off of those work hours to get that credential. Project search and voc rehab, you don't have to, they're two different things. You don't have to have an IEP team member to participate to a meeting to participate in those, whereas to get that credential you do. So they're totally separate.
Right. I don't think it was necessarily under like IEP per se, but more so, I guess it might have been in, when we were striking out policies and not policies, when we were striking out services being provided, because one of our colleagues was saying that it was going to affect students who had IEPs with the, um, what was it, when we were just talking about earlier with the
With the career prep piece,
career prep, yes. And
gotcha.
so
Yeah.
they were concerned that it was now going to eliminate our special population, our colleagues. So I didn't think it would eliminate. And that's why I was making sure that, with that question being raised, so that when again, that's another point of clarity we probably need to raise, that it does not eliminate some of those programs that they thought would be affected by it, especially with our special population, because that was one of the comments made in our meeting, in our board meeting,
Yeah, Jennifer
our
King,
workshop.
does this speak to you? Like what's your thought related to voc rehab and project search and how this transition might affect that? You are muted.
I was gonna say, it really is in Shaquina's wheelhouse because most of our students aren't served by special education. And those that do would have had, of course, a case manager and potentially a transition specialist that worked with them. But that's not often the case for us. So I don't see
Okay,
the direct impact.
but we need to address it. We need to address that question.
Yes, because it was stated that getting rid of that will now affect our special population, and they would not have, because a colleague was giving examples of, they were learning how to clean and fold clothes, wash clothes, those things. And so they think that the eliminating that program that we have of the 11 students would eliminate that for our special population. So just a point of clarity, even though I knew it wasn't, I just want that to be, clarified, so that narrative will not be out there.
Yeah, and when you say special population, you mean special education?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Shaquina, let's just have more conversation about that. And
yeah, I think Williams, you're talking, I think, about transition skills, right? And making sure that career prep, because when kids are doing that, that's part of transition. And so we need to clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, we need to clarify that removing career prep program does not keep students from participating in transition activities and skills.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so to piggyback on that, so Ms. Williams, most of the students, if not all, so I would say all students that participate in career prep came into the program from a diploma credit earning track. So those students would not necessarily have been served in the transition capacity like the other employability credential students are. Some of these students just have resource courses in support of their academics. And so they're two distinct populations.
Correct. I just want to ensure that our colleagues have that point of clarity, because that I don't think that was clear to them that, students with disabilities were not, it didn't, it's not going to affect them because they thinking it is. And to even what you just said about most of the students were on diploma track, and those that were on diploma track, that it might have been just our resource kids, but it will be now back on the school level where they could still receive the same services and the same opportunities, but just at the school level. I think if you say it that way, then that narrative, it will give clarity to the narrative that we are just shutting down opportunities for students with disabilities, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right, we're gonna
Ms.
we're
Porter
probably
has a question.
okay.
And then it also sounds like people need to know what is happening with transitions. Where is that taught now? Where is it included? Or what is it? I think that is something that that showed as a question. What is transitions and where is it in the curriculum for students?
Quick question for you. I mean, team and everybody. So a kid that's a senior in high school that's a student with disability, that student would have a transition plan. It wouldn't necessarily impact students who are on a diploma track with that, because in terms of
Right.
getting voc rehab, that would be specific to students with disabilities. So these kids who we're mostly addressing in the career prep program would be those students who are not on an IEP. It's very few of them.
Right. So separate that. Now let's move to transitions. Where is that being done and taking place? So we're not talking about diploma track now.
That would be Shaquina, wouldn't it?
So when we say transition, we're saying, so in a student, every student 14 and older has a transition plan in their IEP, right? So that could be a resource, that could be a highly specialized. Every student already has that in there. But I think the clarity piece is some of our students are taking courses and with transition so they can learn those foundational skills.
And that's not going anywhere.
Correct.
That is what I think our colleague needed to hear, because what they saw on paper was lines going across transitions, thinking that was going away.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for the clarity, because I was
Okay.
trying to, yes. And in that way, it, like I said, it will clear up the narrative.
And so
Okay.
and that is not taught in isolation, is what I'm hearing. That is
Correct.
a part of their curriculum. And therefore, that is more reason for us to take it out. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and I think the other piece is, so when we talk about transition, that transition certificate had the same name, but it meant something different.
Okay.
That transition certificate was to say, hey, you've completed something. That is different than the transition work that is happening with a student with an IEP. So maybe the name, because both of them said transition,
Yes, yes.
that's maybe what was confusing.
I
Correct.
feel
And-
like there.
And
I
if
feel
you
like there
give
are
that
two board
clarity,
briefs
I
here.
think things will be good.
Okay.
Just like you
So-
just explained the transition word.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like there are two board briefs here. One will address the dissolution of career prep,
Yep.
and the other will address the dissolution of the transition program. I think we do two, and like make that as clear as, like, make those very, very clear. And yeah, I'm thinking there's two, because otherwise it's going to be a super long one.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd that they were in the same policy to begin with.
Well, I think, like, when I read when I read that particular like, not every district does that. Every district is going to be unique in how they do their policies. And so, like, that policy IK F, I have to always remember what they are. IKF is about graduation requirements, right? So it's almost like these are our pathways toward graduation. And in the past, we had a career prep pathway, but it wasn't really even toward graduation, and then we had a transition pathway, and it's really not towards graduation. They just wanted to, like, notate that. And then when you actually look at the administrative rule, it's all about, like, these are the courses you have to take, as part of it, but it didn't really outline some other things. So it sort of makes sense that it's there, but we don't want to go through and just completely, you know, like revamp like every single policy that's related to this. I think we can go with the structure that the policies have now, but just make sure the language is consistent across policies and that things live in, you know, because Jennifer Kane had to tell me about 16 times where this one paragraph about career prep lived because it didn't make any sense to me. And but I say we work within the parameters of policies that we have and clarify them as much as possible.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So, so Jerome, you've talked about the 6 levers, and then like in the back of the document, and Jerome, like I was trying to think through like what are the stages, you know, to where we're going with things. And so the big moves that have to be made, we know what needs to go into the board brief now, but the big moves that are going to be made really have to do with like some real specificity around what happens with transitioning current career prep students. And you can see in the document, like we're going to focus on building and improving infrastructure. And Dr. Davis talked a little bit about that. And you've seen part of that with the guidance documentation and everything that's going out. Then we're also sunsetting career prep beginning now so that we can really move. Step 3 is about, you know, like how do we build and get students into all of our alternative pathways. And then I know that the special education division is really going to focus on improving, you know, transition services, but then also improving the South Carolina, like the number of students who are qualified for and can earn the South Carolina employability credential, which is recognized by the state. So, so lots of plans are in there. It's probably too detailed for a board brief, but what are y'all's thoughts about that?
About like, I'm sorry, clarify the
Like including everything, you know, for everybody. It would just be a lot.
I think it'll be overwhelming since we have 2 heavy hitters already. And what you don't want to happen is someone get overwhelmed and something gets lost throughout it. So we might have to chunk it where we go with the first and then talk the first 2 that we were going to go in
Okay,
detail.
yeah. So we just leave there.
Yes, and then go the next time, add this to it. So now that you understand how it's, you know, the first 2 pieces, now this is how we're going to transition the career prep, our
Okay.
plan for transitioning
Okay,
afterwards.
that sounds like a third one, actually. Like these are
Oh,
the steps that are
sorry.
going to be followed, which is fine. You know, like we'll work it out. I think we really don't want to do board briefs that are longer than, you know, really actually a page and a half, 2 pages, you know, so
Yes.
yeah. hmm
I just don't want
Okay.
anything to get lost.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I just got informed that our meeting is going to get cut off in 4 minutes, you know,
Okay.
so that said, are we good with moving to the next piece?
Yes.
Okay, so really what we have is, so thank you to the team. This is a great team. They do fabulous work
They
and I
are.
think we've got some good direction.
I'm excited.
So, mhm.
I said,
Yes.
I'm excited.
All right, so agenda items for the next meeting. I'm using the same format that I've used. Thank you, Dr. Davis. I'm using the same format that we have in the past, and I'll do the same thing that we've done for the last 2 meetings. And so I'll put this in board brief as well. And so what we have on the docket for the April 29th meeting is the school and district designations, having a good conversation about those and where we are with those when it comes to underperforming schools, which are much, much fewer. Our ATSI disability plans, we have a district ATSI disability plan, a district ATSI poverty plan, because we did have one school identified based on their poverty subgroup for this year. And then just talking about, we have one school that's on a CSI plan as well. Of course, in 3 years, this is going to look very different, you know, but we're moving on this. But that would be the main thrust of our next meeting. Does that work for both of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I'll also bring up the policy plan that will follow for how we do our audit
Okay.
policy plan.
That
Okay.
was, is that the one for the MTSS? Oh, no. MTSS audit? Well, I'm
No,
sorry.
that's a program evaluation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you.
No worries. And okay, and I just don't want us to get cut off. So if you all are fine with how we're moving, then will one of you adjourn our meeting for us?
Sure, I can. I move to adjourn the March 26, 2026 Academics Committee meeting. Do I have a
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for today's meeting. You guys are great. And thank you for being supporters of the district. And thank you to all the team members who are here today.
Y'all are
Everybody
amazing.
have a great